Uh, Good morning once again. I'm glad to join you in this session. I remember last time we actually talked about the definitions of agroecology, and I remember we actually emphasized the three dimensions that must always be observed when we are trying to think or even practice agroecology. We talked about the ecological dimension, the economic dimension, and the social dimension. In the last session, we actually discussed, I think at length, the social perspective, and I think to begin with, in this session, we shall discuss the economic perspective. My dear listeners, I know that the economics in every enterprise is extremely important. People must have money. People love money. And to have a comfortable life, you must have money. And if you are carrying out any agricultural endeavor, even when you actually want this endeavor to be as good socially, as good ecologically, you still have to have that economic perspective coming out properly. Now, what do we aim at when we are doing agroecology, more especially when we are focusing on the economic perspective? First of all, when you are trying to carry out anything in agroecology, you must make sure that you optimize resources. When I'm talking about optimizing, I'm not meaning maximizing. I'm meaning optimizing. We can actually, well, I believe we do understand what optimizing means. And when I talk about resources, I'm meaning the financial resources, the human resources, and the natural resources. All those are resources. We have to optimize them. We actually have to focus and aim at bringing sustainable income. Very many people believe that we understand what the word sustainable means, and we quite often use the word sustainability in whatever we are trying to communicate. But it is important to understand that sustainability may actually mean much more than actually meets the eye. When we are talking about sustainable income, I don't mean that we are talking about getting lots of money, even if that money was sporadic. In agroecology, we actually aim at getting good amounts of money, reasonable amounts of money, continuously throughout the year, not to get some huge amounts of money at one time and at another time you don't get the money. For instance, the people in Bundubujo district depend on cocoa. When it is cocoa season, you'll find they have lots and lots of money. But if cocoa is off season, they are extremely poor. They don't even have what to eat. That is not sustainable income at all. You should be having something to sell and get money from January up to December. That is what we should aim at in agroecology. In agroecology, we always know that we have got some market dynamics which are sometimes very negative. We have to make sure that our marketing strategies are cause resilience to market dynamics. I remember that time there was recently when we had a curfew because there was a foot and mouth disease quarantine, and all the people who had dairy as their business actually fell out of business and they got a lot of problems because the quarantine actually took a long time and they actually collapsed in their businesses. But in agroecology, you must actually diversify enterprises such that in case one got a problem, you can still have a way to get income from the other sources. So resilience to negative market dynamics is very, very important. In agroecology, we must promote fair trade. You have to give the price that is worth the production of the product. If you can know that somebody actually took a lot of time to bring that high quality product, it's not good to actually offer this person very little amount, which is not worth the effort that was put in. You have to ensure that whatever you are producing can actually earn you a fair price. So in the economics of agroecology, promotion of fair trade is extremely important. That is what I can talk about the economic perspective of agroecology. There are quite a number in that, but we shall get to know them gradually. I would like to jump onto the ecological perspective. If you are trying to do agroecology, what we call agroecology in practice, you actually must promote recycling of biomass. What do I mean by recycling of biomass? You can actually, you can, if you got fodder plants, for instance, like mulberry, you actually give it to your cattle or you feed it to your pigs, where the waste that comes from there can actually be turned into biogas, for instance. It can be turned into good manure that can be used to make sure that the production system remains quite okay. So in the agroecology system, we don't expect to have any waste at all. What is waste must always be recycled into something useful. What again is very important from the ecological perspective of agroecology is that soil must always be healthy. When I'm talking about healthy soil, I just hope you need to understand me very well about this. If you get soil and you put it on your hand and you look through that soil and you don't see any life there, know that that soil is dead. How do you see the soil, the life there? There must be some moving microbes, moving insects, moving life that you can see in the soil. But the moment you don't see that one, know that that soil is dead. And this is why you'll find some people, having killed their soils, they have always to add in artificial fertilizers in order to make it productive. Soil is capable of giving you all what you need, provided it is healthy. So in agroecology, soil health is extremely important. This is why we don't we don't promote synthetic fertilizers, we don't promote those toxic chemicals because they actually kill the soil. Agroecology aims to be a closed system that minimizes nutrient losses. All what is produced on the farm, when you have actually grown your bananas, and then you want to market the bananas, you cut the whole bunch, sell it with all the peels, with everything. It is taken to go and litter Kampala. Why don't you leave the peels? If you sold the peeled matoke, that would be much better. The peels will actually work as feed for your livestock. The livestock will give you the dung will give you manure, and that one remains in that closed system. But if you have to cut everything, you put on the lorry becomes heavy, it uses too much fuel even to go to Kampala, you litter Kampala, that would be something very bad. So agroecology aims to be a closed system. I will give many other examples for the closed system when time allows. The agroecology should be a functional biodiversity system between species below and above ground. In agroecology, we shouldn't look at life that is only above ground, above the soil. We must know that in the soil there, underground, still life is there. For example, if you told somebody to go and measure the height of a tree, most people will actually start from the ground and they will actually measure up to the tip of the tree. Little will they remember that there is another part of that tree which is in the ground, underground. They will not measure that. In agroecology, we actually must consider of everything above and below ground. If we are trying to manage the plant above ground, we must also be conscious of that plant's management underground. Agroecology promotes increased biological interactions and synergisms among system components. Actually, in agroecology, it is the synergy that actually makes the miracles. People cannot know or can never take some time to consider that the yield of their crops is sometimes determined by the amount of work that the bees do during pollination. When somebody gets a very good bumper harvest, somebody says, my soil is very fertile, and stops there, not knowing that the bees played a very big role in pollinating. Agroecology manifests wise use of wetlands. This thing we need to understand very properly, because when I was doing my master's, I came to realize that some of the policies that we have contributed a lot into the destruction of wetlands. Wise use, when we talk about conservation, the agroecologist should understand that conservation means wise use. It does not mean don't touch. And wise use, it can only be wise use when it brings sustainability. If you can use the wetland properly and cause its sustainability, then you are using it very wisely. It is very important to understand that 1 unit area of wetland is more economically valuable than the same unit of dry land. So if you don't have a wetland in your land and you have means to create one would rather create it. If you study agroecology, you'll get to understand how best to use wisely the wetlands. Agroecology aims to find, to turn the normally called problem animals or vermin into opportunities. There are some animals that the farmers usually call vermin, like the rodents, like the baboons, like the monkeys, like the squirrels. But in agroecology, such problem animals can be turned into opportunities. This thing you may actually start wondering that how can you do that and how can this one be possible? I think next time we meet again, we shall actually begin from that. But I would like us to remember that economically, we need to optimize the resources. We need to know that we can get sustainable income from our production systems. We also need to develop resilience to negative market dynamics, and we have to promote fair trade. Regarding ecology, we must promote recycling of biomass. Soil health is extremely important. We have to think of closed systems that minimize nutrient losses, and we have to ensure that we promote increased biological interactions and synergisms among system components, and we should turn problem animals or vermin into opportunities. When we meet again, we shall begin right from there. Thank you very much.